Recording in progress.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Tuesday, June 24th meeting of the St. Joseph County Board of Commissioners. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Morton, I believe we have a change in the agenda.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add opening of highway bids for various materials.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen?
Aye.
And Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye.
So amended.
Mr. Metters?
Good morning, Sky Metters, Department of Infrastructure, Planning and Growth. Office is on the 7th and 11th floor. Thank you for amending the agenda to include these. What we have here, every year we bid out certain materials that we use, like bituminous patching material, traffic paint, signage, fuel, and aggregates, those types of things. And what we do with those is when we receive those bids, we typically, as long as the bidders were responsive and included everything they were supposed to with their bids, we end up awarding these to everyone, and then we choose which material to get based on the lowest unit price that's provided. And if for some reason the lowest isn't provided, then we go to the next lowest. So they're all awarded, it's just we start with the lowest unit price and move on. And given that, there's a lot of different costs associated with each of these. Say, for instance, aggregate may have 4 different unit costs for each type of aggregate because it's delivering to one garage, it's delivering to North Liberty, New Carlisle, so it's a different unit cost usually because of that. And in the past, we have not read out the actual unit cost on each of the bids. And what we do is right after the meeting, we go upstairs, tabulate everything, and then we will email those out to everyone that's in this. And I talked to Mr. Garrett yesterday, and I think that's still approved. Yeah.
In this scenario, that's fine. And if a general member of the public would want the list, they could request it. From
Yes.
us as well.
Yes, we will have that available pretty much right after the meeting. We can get this stuff in and make sure we got it input right, and then we'll email them out. And if anyone general public would like it, we can get them a copy also. Okay? So, but what I will do is read out who is submitted for each area. So first off, we have bituminous patching material. And the firms that submitted on that are Reith Riley Construction Company out of South Bend, Milestone Contractors out of South Bend, and Central Paving out of Logansport. That was for our bituminous patching material. Next, we have fuel, oil, lubricants, and miscellaneous materials. First person we have is Al Warren Oil Company out of Bensenville, Illinois. This person doesn't want to be named. I'll open it up and we'll see. Petroleum Traders Incorporated out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Mansfield Oil or Mansfield Energy. I'm not seeing where they're out of right away, but Keystone Cooperative out of Wabash, Indiana. See, these are kind of like, I don't have to look for them. Bellman Oil Company. They didn't put who they, it's gonna take an army to get in there. Bellman Oil Company. National Oil and Gas. And next we have liquid bituminous materials. This is, so that was all fuel, oil, and lubricants. This is liquid bituminous. It is asphalt materials out of Indianapolis, Indiana. The Clink Company out of Ashley, Indiana. BRW out of, it says Brook, Indiana. Now we're on to miscellaneous aggregates. We have C&E Excavating out of Elkhart, Indiana. We have Reith Riley out of South Bend, Indiana. And then for traffic paint and signals, we have Ennis Flint Incorporated out of Greensboro, North Carolina. And then finally, for the paint and traffic signs, we have Crown USA Incorporated. Out of Fortson, Georgia. We request that you accept these bids and turn them over to engineering for review and award. Any questions?
Can't wait to see the bid tabulation on all of these.
And each one of those, there might be 2, 3, 4 different unit prices, so, and I'm sure it's best not to listen to me say numbers all day.
Mr. Metters, what is the process that's utilized in actually getting the word out for these bids? Because I noticed a lot of them are, North Carolina and,
Georgia?
We end up putting the advertisement in the papers, local papers twice. We end up, it goes on our website, and anyone that's subscribed to our bid postings gets a notice. And we also, anyone that has quoted or submitted bids in the past, we let them know that it is posted. So it gets out there if they are signed up to our website.
I mean, I guess, when you say painting and traffic signs, I would think someone local would bid on that.
It's a lot harder to get that than you think.
Okay.
Like on striping, there's only really a couple companies in this area, northern Indiana, that really do striping.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah. But I mean, if there were local, I mean, we make sure that they know about it. And it's also in the paper, but that is actually the signs and the striping are the hardest for us to get people to submit bids for.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I remember you saying the signs last year. I didn't realize the striping
Yes.
was also difficult. The word must be getting out, given the number and location of the bids we received.
Yes,
So,
yeah. Yeah, I was
Good.
surprised with the Georgia and North Carolina. But more the merrier.
any other questions? If not, do we have a motion to accept the bids and turn them over to Highway for review and tabulation?
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hayden? Aye. Commissioner Backsmyer?
Aye.
Thanks for your patience. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next Getting back to the agenda, approval of the accounts payable docket. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen? Aye. Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item, approval of nationwide 457B adoption plan agreement for, St. Joseph County employees. Mr. Butler.
John Butler with the Auditor's Department, second floor of this building. We're asking to continue on with our nationwide 457 plan. This is an additional deferred compensation plan that was offered by the county, I believe, as far back as 2012. We no longer offer this plan to incoming employees as of 2022 because Nationwide took over the administration of the Hoosier Start plan that is sponsored by the state. So any new employees are offered the new plan. This is simply a continuation of the plan that existing employees are on in order to continue their accounts. It has no cost to the county, as this is completely employee funded through deductions.
And I will say, a massive amount of paperwork.
Yes. 1 or 2 pages. I'm sure everyone's read it.
Didn't have anything better to do last night, so.
But if there are any questions,
So just to summarize, this is just a continuation for those employees who were hired and opted into this plan.
opted into this plan when we offered it separate than what was Hoosier Start at the time.
Gentlemen, any questions for Mr. Butler? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen? Aye. Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye. And John, thanks for all the work you did on that. I know it was a lot.
No problem. Thank you.
Moving on to one of the more enjoyable things we do, and it's recognizing a business of the month. Commissioner Morton.
Thank you, President Baxmeyer. The business of the month is, I'm proud to say, is Burton's Laundry. Burton's Laundry has a rare and unique story that defies the statistics of most family-run companies. According to statistics, only 15% of these companies survive into the third generation. Today, Burton's is not only surviving, but thriving in its fourth generation of being family-owned and operated. Burton's story dates back to September of 1961, when Burton and Lottie Sobolski, David's grandparents, opened the original Burton's Laundromat on the corner of Bendix and Lincoln Way in South Bend with only 20 washers and 8 dryers. Fast forward to present day, there are now 14 Burton's locations spread throughout South Bend, Mishawaka, and Elkhart, with the 15th store to open early 2026. Contributing to the success of Burton's Laundry is David A. Newfer. At an early age, David would work with his grandfather, sweeping the floors and taking out the trash. Watching his grandfather, Burton's Sobolski, operate the laundromat led to David's success in the laundromat business. He developed his drive and motivation by working with his grandfather, father, and mother. Born in South Bend in 1952, David is a graduate of LaSalle High School, go Lions. Grew up in German Township, married to his wife, Susan. They have 4 children and 10 grandchildren, and he's a member of St. Jude Catholic Church. Community involvement, past president of Sierra Homes Incorporated, a nonprofit organization that provided out-of-home respite care services to families caring for individuals with developmental disabilities, mental disorders, and/or special needs for over 10 years. Served as chairman of the board for Mishawaka Food Pantry for over 5 years. Actively involved with the River Park Business Association, served on the Potawatomi Zoological Society Board for 13 years, and was instrumental in the privatization of the society. He offers several free wash and dry programs to several nonprofit organizations in our community. Sponsorship involvement, Prevent Child Abuse in St. Joe County, East Side Little League for the past 20-plus years, Multiple Sclerosis Society, Crime Stoppers, School Resource Officers, IAHS of Notre Dame, Elkhart Police Department, South Bend Police Department, South Bend Alumni Association, and the Humane Society of St. Joe County. And I happen to know that that's not a complete list. So congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Morton. President Baxmeyer, thank you. Commissioner Hazen, thank you. Raphael, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, there's probably a couple more we could have added, but you know, we've been very fortunate. I grew up in this business, went from one store to 14 now. But what's really helped me is our family. We've done well by the family involvement with my son, my daughter. It's just been a great atmosphere, and most of my administrative team, my son Joey, my grandson Grant, my daughter Katie, Evan, that's the fifth generation, Grant and Evan and Caleb are the fifth generation that, not quite there, but almost. My son-in-law Steve, who takes care of everything that I don't want to do anymore. And when Steve doesn't want to do it, Darian, one of our best employees, and Abby over here on the end, Josh and Destiny, and then Caleb. Happy birthday, Caleb. Today's Caleb's birthday. So, but it takes a team, and we're fortunate enough to be able to give back to the customer base that we have, and been very, very good at what we've done, I think, and tried to do the right thing at the right time with the right organization. So we've been very blessed with that, and we've grown from the 1 to the soon-to-be 15. But probably, as Raphael has pointed out, I'll end with this. Raphael said I could take 30, 35 minutes, but I won't take that much
I
time.
thought I said 40.
Yeah, I think it was 40. But as Raphael has pointed out to me several times, because Raphael and I are very good, close friends, and Tony and I are close friends too. But the brains of the outfit, the person that keeps things going and keeps things in the right perspective is my wife, Susan. So, thank you. We appreciate the honor.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
great when we honor these businesses, especially those that do so much to give back to the community. And 5 generations now. That's
We'll get there.
tremendous.
We'll get there.
Yep,
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it.
thank you.
I want to say one thing.
Please.
Raphael and I can probably attest that Susan is the brains behind that. With all kidding aside, I attend a lot of benefits with the Newfers and that, and he's a very smart businessman, but he's probably one of the most giving persons that I know, and he has passed that on to his children. Very, very giving family. If you're ever at a benefit and he's bidding on something, go ahead and bid on it, because he's not going to let you win, and it really drives the price up good, and he'll pay it. So, thank you so much for everything you do.
Oh.
Appreciate it.
Don't go away.
I would be remiss if I didn't add, I've known David for many, many years, David and his family, and I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of people in the community, businesses and individuals, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I have never seen anyone as giving as Dave Newfer and caring about this community. So.
Got to get a picture. This is going to be Next, we have an appointment to the Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals, Peter Boa.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Caslon, County Assessor with offices located on the third floor. I'm going to go a little bit on a protocol if you'll allow me. This appointment here is a replacement for Mr. Steve Weldy. I want to send out a congratulations and a wholeheartedly thank you to Mr. Steve Weldy. He's a local realtor who has dedicated time to the board to offer a non-biased opinion on property assessments. When people come to the board, they come to the board often at great cost financially. They are compensated, but they lose the business aspect to represent the community and make sure that the community has a voice that's indicative to fair assessment. So I want to thank Steve Weldy for his time while he was on board. The appointment that is before you is Connor McCarthy. Connor McCarthy went to Purdue University where he majored in finance. He joined the family insurance business in 2017. He earned his CIC Certified Insurance Counselor designation in 2018. He and his wife then moved to D.C. where Connor supported government contracts and then worked for the Heritage Foundation, managing their donor data and outreach. In 2021, he and his wife moved back to the area where Connor rejoined the family business and purchased it from the family in 2023. Connor was selected as the Young Agent of the Year for the entire state of Indiana by the Big One 2024 Insurance Association. He works with replacement cost valuations, both residential and commercial real estate, on a daily basis and knows how to explain the reasoning behind the valuation to help the average person understand why the number we would use will likely be more than they paid for the property. He adds a unique perspective from the insurance portion. He will complete, a full panel between brokers and appraisers, and we would hope that the commissioners would recognize this as a viable applicant to replace Steve Weldy on the board.
Gentlemen, any questions? I will say I've met Connor, and your recommendation, hopefully we will approve that. Certainly seems willing and able to fulfill this. It's a little different appointment to the Peter Boa Board because it's unique qualifications. It's they have to really have an understanding of the process. And any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion to appoint Connor McCarthy to the Peter Boa?
Motion to appoint.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye,
Thank you, Commissioners.
thanks. Next, moving on to IPG, approval of the FleetSoft software and training program, their master service agreement for fleet management services.
Morning, Sky Metters, Department of Infrastructure Planning and Growth, offices on the 7th, 11th floor. Just a little background before I dive into this. Our previous fleet director at the time, when we were in the early stages of fleet, when they were looking for a firm to go with, found that there's not very many companies that do both heavy highway equipment or trucks and your normal fleet vehicles, cars, pickups, and those types of things. So at that time, we made the decision that all the heavy highway trucks and equipment would remain out of the county fleet and the highway would take care of that themselves. And in the past, the way that things have been done is if work was done on a vehicle, the information was put in a file, and if you needed any info on that vehicle, you'd go back and look into the file. And what has happened in the past is people that have done that have left, and that institutional knowledge that they have may not have gotten passed down, and there began to be some gaps in the information that was in on each vehicle. And given the age of our fleet, those files can get pretty big. And so what we did as we went and we started looking at different types of software that would help us manage that situation. And we ended up coming up with fleet software, and we got some demos. And what this will do is it will allow us to manage our fleet. It will track, you know, any work that you do on that piece of equipment, any parts you use. It'll track our parts inventory, which is really a big deal too, that we've been trying to get a handle on. And it makes it too so it's a lot easier to make sure that things get entered. This will have a barcode scanner so that we can scan barcodes of parts, having a good inventory, know what piece went where on what vehicle. And it'll help too, you know, with scheduling preventative maintenance and also knowing exactly what's going on a vehicle. And having it web-based is a lot easier than pulling folders, as you could guess. The initial cost of the software license and necessary equipment is $22,080.35. And with that, we felt it was best to get some on-site training so that we could use it in our own setting with our own equipment and trucks and those types of things. And so we're requesting that also be approved at a cost of $4,990 for on-site training. And then after that, there's a subsequent licensing fee each year of $11,232. We've reviewed this and recommend your approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Were there other companies that were considered, or?
We
This
did an
seems so
online.
specialized.
Yeah, we did an online search of different companies, and this one's the one that kept coming up. And, after the demo, it really was obvious that this was the one that we would like. And the cost itself is, I was actually surprised that the cost, the annual cost was that low. I mean, for this type of a system.
The annual cost is, you said 11,000?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
11.2.
Sky, I was looking at that. One thing I didn't see was how many years? I must have missed it. Or is this just a one-year contract?
It's year to year.
It is year to year.
Yeah, from what I've read, you're not set to any minimum, which is how I like to do these types of things.
Well, we have to keep our fleet on the road. Gentlemen, any questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion to approve the fleet software and training?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I guess the one thing that I would say is this is a very positive move, obviously. And I just want to say, I realize that it's service, so you're not really required to go out for bids, but I appreciate the fact that you said you looked online and looked at other options, so
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. We try to make sure we do that with everything, even with service and.
Right, I
Yes, sir.
I don't know. Just because it's service, I don't agree with that it should not be bid, but who am I? But I'm just saying I appreciate you, going and looking at other options anyway.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next, we have approval of the HRP construction change order number 5 for the Larison Road Lift Station and Force Main replacement.
So this item, change order number 5, is an increase of $253,775, and it brings the contract amount up to $11,376,985.50. And there also, part of this change order is an additional time request of a 120-day extension, which puts the new final completion date at July 18th, 2025. This change order is for some modifications that were done to the wet well and increasing some casting sizes. And then also protective coating, the addition of a protective coating on some of the fittings and those types of things that was required. think that's it. There's just some,
Wasn't there something with a transformer? They were gonna have a pole-mounted
yes,
transformer?
yes, there was that in there too. Yes, sir. So, and looking at the final completion date of July 18th, I would hope that the only other change order coming would be the final change order to zero everything out. So I'm happy to answer any questions. We've reviewed it. It's been reviewed by many people. These ones, before they get here, there's quite a few that get to review it, so.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the HRP construction change order number 5?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, approval of the HRP construction change order number 1 for the SJC Water Treatment Plant Phase 3 expansion project.
Yes, so this change order is for the amount of an increase of $1,666,202.45. It's approximately a 6.1% increase, and there's also a time increase of 30 days, which puts the new substantial completion date of September 29th of this year, and the final completion date of November 26th of this year. This change order comes about, there's some miscellaneous things, storage tank where they had to do some undercutting because of some of the material, some fence removal and reinstall, some items that were existing that, you know, after you dug into things needed to be replaced, like some unit heaters and so forth. But the big item that is the bulk of the cost for $1,599,000 was the additional well house and well field changes. As when you're doing these high capacity wells, a lot of time, you know, the companies go out, they start to drill the well, and they do testing to see how much you can actually withdraw from that well. And sometimes it's not as much as what was originally anticipated, which was in this case. So they ended up having to add another well house and do some changes to the well field to accommodate that additional, to be able to have that additional capacity that they were originally designed for. That stuff gets a little bit out of my expertise, but I'd be happy to try to answer any questions on that one. We've looked through it and recommend approval.
Well, a couple of things. As far as the withdrawal from the aquifer, we're not increasing the amount, we're just taking it out of an additional well, if I understand when I looked at this.
Right, what it was the pumps that were originally designed weren't enough to pull what the original amount that they were planning to pull was. So it's not like it's pulling more than what was originally intended, it's just you need another pump to do that, is my understanding.
And you're right, that was the bulk of the
Yes.
change order was
and-
that.
And it's not just another pump, you gotta buy, you know, put the well house and, you know, pump house and all the other additional fittings and those types of things to it, so. It's not, I mean, and with high capacity wells, it's not that uncommon to have something like this occur.
And also, all of these change orders that we've been looking at over the past couple months, they're all being paid for out of the GM, the infrastructure improvements that either GM or AWS is paying for.
Yes, sir.
It's not an increased burden on the taxpayers, is the point I'm trying to make.
Yes, sir, correct.
Thank goodness. I mean, that's a heck of a change order. I get it, but $1.6 million? But under the circumstances and with the agreement, so.
Yes, sir. And, this is, it's a change order for stuff like, this equipment and, fittings and, pumps and those types of things. It becomes a lot different than, a change order for some asphalt and those types of things.
I
So-
get it. No,
So
I
it's,
get
yeah,
it.
and costs just keep going up too. Yes, sir. But you're right, that's one that opens your eyes, so.
Exactly. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? If not, do we have a motion to approve change order number 1 for the SJEC water treatment plant?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Finally, we have approval for the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, from our clerk, approval of professional services agreement renewal with RBM Voting for election equipment and processes. Before we start, oh, she's not here. Is Tricia here?
Oh, Tricia.
I am here.
Oh,
I'm
there you are.
online.
Sorry.
Yes, that's okay.
Before you get started, this is something that we tabled, so the first thing we need to do is have a motion to untable.
I'd like to make a motion to untable.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye, stereo.
Motion carries. It is untabled.
Now, Ms. Carrico,
Yeah. So I was not informed that it was going to be on today's agenda for you. It has to go in front of the election board, but all this part is an addendum to the contract that you guys signed a couple months ago. And I know there were some questions about why the price is a little bit more on an off year. And I can explain that if you want me to. Or if you just want to wait before it goes in front of the election board as well.
well, I think that was our question when we tabled it a couple weeks ago. It wasn't clear why there was the increase on the 25, between 25 and 2026. I realize that there's no election this year. We wanted some more information on how does the 2026, those prices compare with previous years. And
Well, I can explain that. What they did for this contract is they spread it across this year and next year. So typically, this year would have been 230,000 roughly. And then next year would have been in the 430. So what they did was they set it for 330 this year and 330 next year, so that it's a set cost for both years. And so that also gives us the ability to purchase any kind of equipment or any kind of, printing or things like that, so that we're able to have it in this year on an off year. And then it's also a set price for next year as well. So there's not a huge increase going into a general.
Trish, how does the 2026 price compare with the 2024 price?
Well, typically, like 2024 is a little bit different because that was presidential, so it requires more. But typically, it would be 430,000 going into next year if the election board doesn't sign off on this addendum or agree to this contract with RBM. But and now it would be set at 330. So it would be 100,000 difference. But going into what would be an off year would be 230. So it's just split over 2 years instead of a small amount, I don't want to say small amount, but a lesser amount in 2025 and then more in 2026. So it's just spread out over the 2 years versus, small and then a bigger lump sum going into 2026.
Well, everything I've learned about RBM, we've been satisfied with the service they've provided. Don't see a reason not to. The point I was trying to get at was, with the cost of everything going up, how much did these 2 years, and I realize it's an off year, it's different. I was just trying to ascertain how much of an overall increase there was.
There was none. They held their prices at the same rate that they've held them before. So they did not increase on us, which we are very grateful for.
So are the taxpayers.
Exactly.
I don't have any other questions, do you? And I do appreciate the fact that they're splitting it, leveling our budget out a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard when you get a bill like that, going into 2026 and it being on the higher side, because sometimes there's additional costs and then you get to the point where you may not always have that padded, budget. So this way it allows us to buy because we're going to have to buy new Freedom Vote paper rolls. The clerk seal, we have to do the generic with Amy running for re-election. So we have to order all new paper, and that is not cheap. And so we're able to order it this year versus going into next year and trying to, work the budget so that we're not cutting it close. So it allows us to prepare for 2026 ahead of time, 6 to 7 months ahead of time versus in the election year.
Well, thank you for the explanation and for all the work that you and our clerk have done to get this in front of us.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Gentlemen, any other questions or comments?
Nothing?
If not, do we have a motion to approve the professional services agreement renewal with RBM Voting?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen?
Aye.
And Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, from the JJC, approval of permission to apply for partnership for a drug-free SJC annual grant. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Tara Piano. I'm the Director of Operations at the Juvenile Justice Center located at 1000 South Michigan, South Bend. The Partnership for Drug-Free St. Joe County is the community coalition that identifies alcohol, tobacco, and other drug problems in St. Joe County. They attempt to promote and coordinate efforts using resources within the community to reduce abuse of substances among youth. The Juvenile Justice Center would like to apply for an opportunity given by the partnership to offer substance use disorder treatment and education within our facility, where juveniles may learn positive and encouraging healthy relationships and coping skills with mental health disorders and substance use disorder. So what we're applying for with this grant is, the amount is $15,825 that we're applying for. This would offer programming through 5 Star Life, which is a program that offers video curriculum with staff support, which is very important. Previously, we had only video curriculum. This would be offering with staff support, which means they would be teaching the material, and leadership training, personnel, professional development, and our goals to this programming is to decrease the number of people 12 and older in St. Joseph County reporting drug use or alcohol by 3% in 2025 and 2026, and to decrease the number of youth that are reporting drug use, including marijuana, by 5%. So we believe that if we are able to be awarded this grant of $15,825, we'll be able to implement this curriculum and move forward with attempting to get to those numbers of decreasing the substance use disorder numbers in St. Joe County for kids 12 and older. Again, in full disclosure, this was given me an opportunity on June 6th that this was available. On June 13th, I found out that we are able to apply to this grant. This grant has never been applied for by the Juvenile Justice Center before, in my knowledge, and the partnership's knowledge as well. So we found out on June 13th that this was able to be applied for because I sit on a committee that is involved in the partnership, and on June 16th, this was due. So this today is asking for permission to move along with the grant process and see if we are awarded any funds. Thank you.
Did you previously state that this was through the prosecutor's office before? Or
No,
something?
sir. This is through the partnership, but this has not been applied for by the Juvenile Justice Center at all, to our
But I-
knowledge.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I thought in a previous conversation, you were saying that you didn't really know that you were able to apply for it, but I thought you said the prosecutor's office had applied for it previously or something like that?
No, I'm not sure that they have. I know adult probation has applied for it.
Okay,
many-
that's probably what I'm thinking of. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah, many organizations have.
Okay, okay. I appreciate your efforts. Who sets, I guess you'd call them key performance indicators, who sets that 3% and that 5% goal? Is that,
That is the state
The state, okay.
epidemiological profile report.
okay, okay.
So, and it's the Indiana Youth Survey as well that determines those numbers and our goals. So
Okay.
in the grant application, we have to identify goals that we want to hit by making this program successful. So that's what we will be doing.
And you guys have identified how you're going to get there, I assume?
Yes, by using the 5-Star Life curriculum.
Okay.
We also believe that this is going to be more successful because we're asking for staff support to teach this curriculum. This curriculum has actually been in place for many years at the JJC. However, we have lost funding for that.
Okay.
I can't speak with prior administration on why that has happened, but we have lost funding for that. So this is the only source of funding we will have to be able to implement 5-Star Life.
Okay. I appreciate you looking into this and implementing this program.
Thank you.
And that's why it's marked as, it is not a new project, it's something,
Correct.
gotcha. Gentlemen, any other questions, comments? If not, do we have approval of granting permission to apply for the Partnership for a Drug-Free SJC Annual Grant?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye,
Motion carried.
thank you. Moving on to public comment.
Morning, Commissioners. Dan Caruso, New Carlisle. I've been reminiscing a lot here lately. Thinking back to 2018, when I was first introduced to my friends from the OSA group, all of them much smarter than me, especially environmentally. I was for this growth, some growth that we're getting over there in western St. Joseph County, especially New Carlisle area, Olive Township. Them being smart, I said, we need some growth. And they said, Dan, they won't stop. Once they get a foothold, they will just keep expanding. It'll overrun what is the existing community. And you guys are wrong. We got somebody up there who's going to get us involved in the conversation on how this is going to be developed. We're going to control it. I apologize to my friends several meetings ago that I was wrong. And I'm going to say I was wrong again. how much does Amazon need? When they first came in, they came in with a 16 to 18 building site plan. Now, I don't believe for 1 minute that they said, well, we'll put up 16 to 18 buildings, but we're going to be losing money, so hopefully we can spread more. Now they're not happy with the 16 to 18. I read today there's 32 to 45 buildings they're talking of. They want to build on these wetlands. It is time to stop. St. Joseph County, Western St. Joseph County, our area, we've got our skin in the game already. We've done our contribution to economic development. It's time to spread the wealth, time to spread the responsibility, quit eating up our ag land with these industrial developments, and just step back and look someplace else, because it's just spreading. First, it was the core development area between Snowberry and Willow, between US 20 and State Road 2. Then we had the economic development area expansion down the Timothy Road, up into town. We've got 5 different economic development areas over there. It is time to stop. Let us keep our town, as much of it is left, the way it is. Stop any future industrial development. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to offer a comment? Moving to those online. Cheryl Nix, your hand is up.
Good morning, Commissioners. Cheryl Nix, 17901 Sable Ridge Drive, Clay Township. I'm sure it's already been said. I was absent last week and I wanted to say this, but I wanted to congratulate Commissioner Morton on receiving the 2025 African American Legacy Award from the History Museum at its annual Juneteenth celebration. Commissioner Morton, you and I are both proud grads of LaSalle High School. Go Lions. You served on the county council from 1992 until 2024, and here you are serving our county still as county commissioner. You served on boards of Real Services, the St. Joseph County Community Corrections Board, CASA, to name a few. I was very impressed when I read that you, as a Rotary Club member, you coordinate the largest annual service project, delivering Thanksgiving meals to over 150 families in need. Congratulations. I also want to just quickly say that one of my early childhood memories is going with my mom to Burton's Laundry at the corner of Bendix and Lincoln Way West with our wagon full of dirty laundry and our nickels for the vending machines. And this, I still have a strong memory of the sound of the dryers and the smell of the room. And it's a good, vivid memory. And congratulations to Burton's Laundry. The other thing I wanted to say is I also was shocked by what totaled to be $1,919,977 of cost overruns for a couple of projects. And I'm really wondering if our tariffs that were imposed by the Trump administration have contributed to these cost overruns. And just one thing I would like to say about the RBM voting election equipment. I think it's slightly inaccurate to say that there hasn't been a cost increase. When you're combining 2025 and 2026, you get over $600,000, and the elections are in 2026. There are no elections in 2025. In 2024, the costs were around $400,000. So yes, there has been an increase of about $200,000 in these costs. Anyway, so again, congratulations, Commissioner Morton. Thank you for allowing me this time. Good day.
Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it.
We typically don't add comments, but I'm going to add one here. Cheryl, you're right in one way, but you're wrong in another. It's 2 years combined. So to say that 2024 compared to 2020, the combined 25, 26 isn't really accurate. Any other questions or comments?
There aren't elections in 2025 though, correct?
That is correct.
So really, we're only paying, we're splitting the cost over 2 years, but really we're just paying for 2026 and it's $600,000. I mean, if you think about it that way, right? That's what I was saying.
But there were costs, again, I'm not going to get into a debate here, but there were costs every year with supplying equipment and services for our voting machines.
Okay.
So you really have to look at 2 years And
Okay.
to your point, it's probably more, that's what I was trying to say. Let's look at 2 years combined.
Right.
And one of them being an off year. You're right about that. So
Okay.
I'm taking the clerk's word on it that there was, when you look at it that way, no increase. We can talk about that further.
Yeah, I would like to, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion to recess?
Second.
Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Hazen? Commissioner Backfire?
Aye.
We are recessed.
Recording stopped.